Good morning, Pine City Evangelical Free Church family. I just wanted to meet with you this morning. It is Wednesday morning, and I just wanted to share with you a verse that has really spoken to me, a verse that has blessed my family through the years. Both of my boys have learned this verse and committed it to memory. Janine and I have learned it. It's found in the book of Psalms. It's in Psalm 56, and it says this: "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you." And so this psalm, which of course is a psalm of David, is David saying, when I am afraid, I am going to trust God. Now here's a couple of reasons why I love this verse and why it's meant so much to me. Number one, David says, when I am afraid. In other words, it's almost giving us permission to be human, if you understand what I mean. God knows that we deal with fear. The Bible gives us a fear not in some way or another hundreds of times. Some have said 366 times, which gives us one for each day of the year, including leap year, like 2020. And would you agree with me that 2020 is a year when a lot of people have experienced a lot of fear? What a crazy year. And God understands that we are going to deal with fear. I know I grew up hearing such platitudes like fear and faith can't exist in the same heart. And that sounds really good at first. But is it really true? I mean, did the people of God in the scripture who trusted God and did great things for God, did they not have fears? Actually, if you read, they were just as human as you and I were, including King David, who confesses that there are times he is afraid. And God understands that. God is far more gracious and compassionate than we give him credit for. And he understands that in our frailness, we are going to deal with fears. That is part of the human experience. But then he makes a choice. See, David doesn't just let his fears rule him. He doesn't just let his fears overcome him. He doesn't just let his fears just completely envelop his thinking. No, he recognizes he has some fears. He's afraid. But he makes a choice. He says, when I am afraid, I will put my trust in you. His choice during times of fear is to trust the Lord, is to give up the control of his life to God. It is to take those fears and roll them over onto God's shoulders, to let God handle those fears. It's not that he walks around some superhuman person who never has any fears. He's not some super tough guy. No, he confesses, I have fears. But when those fears come up, when I'm dealing with those fears, I choose to trust God. And really, that is the same choice that every one of us has. We live in a time right now where certainly people are dealing with so many fears. Fears of being sick, fears of government overreach, fears of losing rights, fears of you name it. I mean, there are just fears everywhere. And everybody has an opinion. And depending on where we feed into, it can increase our fears in a manifold way. Yet God gently invites us to trust him in the middle of our fears. See, God is all-powerful. God is sovereign. God is holy. God is great. God is august. He's unique. God, any adjective that speaks of greatness and glory you want to throw at, that is who God is. He's awesome. And he can handle our greatest and deepest fears. And so, my encouragement to you this morning is if you're dealing with fears, you're human. It just means you're living as part of the human experience, because we all deal with them. But there is a God in heaven, as Daniel says, whom we can trust. A great and glorious God who cares for his children, who loves us, who sent Christ to deal with the greatest fear we have, that is the fear of death and separation from God. And so, yes, you are going to have fears in this life. But there is a choice you can make. And God gently invites each and every one of us in the middle of our fears to trust him. He can handle it. Hope this has encouraged you this morning. I'm going to try and reach out to you each Wednesday with a little something from the Word that has encouraged me and blessed me. I love you. Thank God for you. It is such an honor to serve you. And as always, I just can't wait to be together with you again. As you deal with your fears, give them to God. Trust Him. He can handle it.